We're going to call to order the Narragansett Town Council work session. Today is Monday, October 21st, 2024, and the time is 6 p.m. Today's work session is for the Town Council, Parks and Recreation Director, and Recreation Advisory Board to review the 2024 beach operations. So this time I will turn it over to our Director of Parks and Recreation, Ms. Kershaw.
Thank you, and good evening. First, before we get started, I have a presentation that you see. It's up on the screen. It's not lengthy. It's very concise and consolidated, basically touching base on the season overall and the financials and pretty much where the Beach Enterprise Fund stands. Before we begin, I want to just thank all of my town staff from the Parks and Recreation side, the beach, my Parks Maintenance Department, DPW, the Purchasing Division, the Town Manager for his support, also, of course, the Town Council for their support, and, of course, the Recreation Advisory Board. Without everybody and the combined efforts of all, the beach wouldn't run the way it does every day. So thank you to everyone involved. The purpose of this workshop is to provide the Town Council and public overview of the 2024 beach operations and performance. 2025 fee policy recommendations will be presented at a future Town Council meeting, so that won't be discussed at this presentation. Narragansett Town Beach. I always like to touch upon the Beach Enterprise Fund. So it's a self-sustaining entity that all annual expenses, administrative costs, capital expenses, improvements, and storm damages are paid for by the fees collected from users of the beach. No town taxes are used to operate Narragansett Town Beach. This is a great picture of our beach staff with a group of kids who were participating in the junior lifeguard program. Our head lifeguard, Mike Florio, is in the background waving the flag. Obviously, our lifeguards are an integral part of the operation, daily, weekly, of Narragansett Town Beach. They're a great bunch of men and women who do a fantastic job, who are above and beyond well-trained, and really take their job extremely seriously. And of course, again, for the 37th year in a row, they won the lifeguard games again. So we are very proud of them. Narragansett Town Beach is town-owned, but it is open to everyone from everywhere. In fact, 40% of beach users are non-residents. And we know that based on our daily numbers, our daily admission numbers and parking numbers at Narragansett Town Beach. When people say that or insinuate that Narragansett Town Beach is unfriendly or unwelcoming to non-residents, this is absolutely untruthful. The mission statement of Narragansett Town Beach is to ensure long-term sustainability, to create a superior beach experience, to operate the beach safely and efficiently. This season, there were no serious incidents or arrests to report. There was one juvenile arrest, and there were 10 juveniles cited for fraudulent commercial transferable beach passes. The mission is also to recognize that the beach is a town asset, and as such, all policies, fees, parking, lockers, cabanas, etc., should first serve town residents and taxpayers. The Beach Enterprise Fund should also ensure that fee structures not only address annual expenses, but also provide sufficient income to address longer-term capital requirements arising from building renovations, parking lot repairs, replacements, sand replenishment, storm damage, and erosion. The Beach Enterprise Fund As we all know, an enterprise fund policy was approved by the town council last year. The minimum for the Narragansett Town Beach Enterprise Fund is $3.6 million. The optimal is 4.5, and the maximum is 5.4. I just want to briefly go over the 2023 policy and fee changes that were approved by this council. There was a 20% increase in the cost to lease a facility, and a facility being either a cabana, changing room, and locker. We discontinued the commercial transferable beach pass, and non-residents were no longer allowed seasonal rentals of lockers beginning next season in 2025. Additionally, the south parking lot was open to non-resident parking weekdays, Monday through Friday, beginning at 1 p.m. if the west lot parking lot filled. The Beach Enterprise Fund unrestricted fund audited balance. As you can see from the numbers, particularly after the 2023 audit, currently, as a result of that audit, the Beach Enterprise Fund is at $5.1 million. Each year, we discuss the last 5 years of operating revenue versus operating expense. If you want to take a few moments to review this slide. The 2023 audit has provided the details that the beach made $2.668 million in revenue. Our expenses totaled $2.362 for an operating income of $304,000. And I'd like to say at this point, previously and last year, I had said I was very concerned that we were on a trend where possibly we weren't going to have revenue. So I'm happy to report that I was incorrect. We've had some investment revenue as well, so we're very excited to report that we have had an increase in revenue. And the next slide, again, just shows our revenue expense versus income. And again, the blue line, again, shows the revenue. Not as concerning as it was last year to me, so certainly in a more positive direction. This is one of my most favorite slides. Dennis Litch often laughs at me when I pull out my daily log that I do each year, and here's the monster. So basically each day, I add up the information about what's going on for the day, you know, what does the weather look like, what's the temperature in the morning versus temperature in the afternoon, how many people we have coming onto the beach, the hand clickers that the kids are logging in at all the different entrance points. Also the rainy days, when the west lot fills, when the north lot fills, when the south lot fills, all those kind of day-to-day details. I remember Mr. Wright used to put up that slide, and I remember nobody could see it because it's such a big document, so you'll just have to take my word on the numbers. So in 2023, Memorial Day was an excellent Memorial Day. However, this year, the Saturday and Sunday were not very busy. We had that heavy bank of fog for several weeks. However, Monday cleared and was a beautiful day. The beach opened this year full-time on June 1st, 2024. And this year, of the 97 beach days that we had and the beach was open, the beach was only closed, not charging, 4 times. Now, of course, we still had lifeguards on duty to protect the water, but again, we didn't charge admission or parking on those days. The west lot filled 34 times, the north lot filled 6 times, and the south lot filled 5 times. In 2023, the daily count of estimated visitors, or of visitors, not estimated, so handheld visitors, and of course we miss people, was 187,759. This year, our handheld count was 198,101. Because of the new parking change, again, opening the south lot at 1 o'clock when the west lot filled, on 15 occasions, 15 days, we were able to open the south lot, and approximately 25 to 45 non-resident vehicles were parked during those days. Some high priorities to discuss that were recommendations from the beach carrying capacity study. We think it's important to constantly review this report every year. We have the Woods Hole report, and now we have this report. Both reports are very similar in the information that they provide and the complexities of the transects at Narragansett Town Beach. One of the biggest priorities that was recommended is the consistent monitoring of the dunes, dune nourishment, and the planting of additional vegetation. There's also been discussion about removing some of the invasives. Increased volume of sand replacement to widen the beach berm and enhance the protective dunes. Most of you know that after the storms of January 2024, we did end up closing off one particular egress area behind the South Pavilion. That is really looking wonderful. The seagrass is all coming back, and that's been a great addition, hopefully, in protecting the infrastructure of our parking lots, and in particular, the South Pavilion. It was also recommended larger volumes of sand to be brought in to protect the dunes, and also recreation benefits and the means to offset future sea level rise. So again, we know from the beach carrying capacity study that there's a few ways that they recommend that we do that. And of course, we are looking closely at what happens with the river dredging study and what we're going to do with that volume of sand, and also exactly what project would be best for Narragansett Town Beach. Another priority was to install a live screen camera to allow visitors to observe current conditions at the beach and parking lot prior to visiting. So again, all very important elements. Some of the other recommendations in that study we have already done, so I think we're kind of all on the same page with that. Improvement projects. Projects that have been completed are the URI, Shoreline Mapping Study. So that 5-year study has been completed, and that was reviewed and used by the Beach Carrying Capacity Study Group. There will be a need for an annual review of the beach shoreline to continue with documenting changes to the beach profile. This data will be needed for FEMA in the event of a natural disaster. Currently, I'm still working with FEMA about the storms of January and providing additional documentation to our FEMA coordinator. So there's talk about moving forward about use of drone work, and again, using the same transects that Taylor Engineering used in their study to document further changes in the profile of the beach. Of course, the beach carrying capacity, like I said, has been completed. And we did get the 2 additional beach ADA wheelchairs for the beach, and also had purchased during the beach season 2 additional ADA mats. Approved projects not completed is the deck roof at the Canachet North Beach Clubhouse. That is pending with the start date of probably close to mid-November, late November. Pending projects that I'm carrying over and have discussed in the past couple of years are renovations to the South Pavilion lockers. What should be the plan going forward with that? In addition to the South Pavilion, the north side of the building to create a separate sales office, garage, storage area, and police substation. And of course, a dune restoration plan. The one thing that the beach carrying capacity study tells us is we need to restore the dunes. We need to build them up. We need to plant them. We need to make them more of a protective berm for the town. The one thing the study doesn't tell us is, well, how do we do that? There's got to be a scientific, engineering, professional way to do that. We can't just dump buckets of sand on the dunes and hope for the best. So that is something that we're going to be looking into in the future, to figuring out what's the best way to do that. Because there's got to be a scientific plan. The next slide is our revenue comparison. And again, you could take a quick look, but the green arrow pretty much says what I am grateful for, and that is we did have an excellent and successful beach season this year. Our seasonal parking revenue is up, daily parking sales is up, and of course that is attributed to being able to open the south lot to non-resident parking. Our daily admission sales is up. Our transferable, resident transferable pass sales are up. Again, probably a lot to do with the discontinuation of the commercial transferable passes. And of course, the increase in revenue for the facilities. That 20% increase obviously was a great help to building up this revenue. So again, I'd like to thank everybody involved in running Narragansett Town Beach. There's a lot of people involved. A lot of people do a lot of things to help get us where we are here today. So I am grateful to everybody. I'm grateful to my staff, the town manager, obviously to everybody on the council for the support, and all of the people that I mentioned earlier. And right now, I'd like to turn it over to Dennis Lynch. He has a few comments, and then I think we'll take comments from the council. Thank you.
Thank you, Michelle. So I would like to acknowledge my colleagues that are here tonight from the Rec Advisory Board. We appreciate your attendance. Jan Cassetta, who is actually leaving, terming out from Rec Advisory Board. She has put in a very solid and important and productive 6 years for us. So, and she even came tonight too. So I think that's a statement in and of itself of dedication and commitment. So yeah, a couple of comments. I think this is the first year that we're moving past training wheels for the use of the enterprise fund balance. If this council remembers, we would have $4 million, we'd have $4.3 million in the fund, and some people would say, well, that's way, way too little, and other people would say, oh, that's more money than you'll ever use, ever. And there was an important initiative last year where the Finance Committee brought forward to the Town Council a formula that's used very regularly through municipalities across the country, where they establish appropriate fund balances for parts of the town that are run as enterprise funds. And of course, it's not just the beach. Sewer and water are also enterprise funds. Balances were established for those, and actually the Town Council took action on increases in order to buttress those enterprise funds. So that's a big step forward, I think, not only for the beach, but for the other enterprise funds. And we were here last year at the table telling you that our enterprise fund balance is going to go down if you didn't approve the fee increases that we brought forward. You approved some of them and you didn't approve others, and the balance went up. So we're learning on that. There was also some intertown accounting things that happened that brought it up to the $5 million, which we're very, very pleased that we're there now. And I think the thing that we have to now consider is what are the material capital expenditures that we have to take in light of the Taylor report that came forward. The one thing Michelle didn't mention is that the town beach consistently, in every survey that we do, and we did 2 last year, we did a town beach survey, and then Taylor did its own 1,000-person survey, and in every survey, consistently, the the beach experience, always 8 out of 10 people who are responding to the survey say it's in the 4 or the 5 very good or excellent category in terms of their experience at the beach. So I think everyone should take great pride, council included, because this is an important asset for us. I happen to have watched the candidate forum that was on a week or so ago, and I believe every person at the table, incumbents and newly running, spoke of how important the town beach was, how it was a gem of the community. And in order to keep that gem, I think we're going to have to spend money to, as Michelle mentioned, start building on some of those dune projects and sand projects that Taylor recommended. If you'll remember also when you saw the workshop from Taylor, their 10-year look indicated that we've lost on average 21 feet of beach. So the beach is not getting larger, it's getting smaller. The dunes are not getting larger, they are getting smaller. And I think the biggest challenge for the management of the town beach in the next 2 years is going to be how we do coordinate with the dredging project. I don't think the Phase 1 dredging project is going to render a lot of sand available for the town beach. I think it will be subsequent dredging if in fact those get funded and get approved by the permitting agencies. I would suggest to the council that we can't wait too long. The town beach shouldn't wait too long to take it. If that doesn't come to fruition in 1 year or 2 years, I think it will be important to move forward in order to protect the beach and the quality of it. So I would like to plant, just that thought with you, that $5 million, I would expect that that the budget coming up in 2025 would have material numbers in it to start doing the necessary design and planning to rebuild the berm, the profile of the beach and the sand, because it is 200,000 people are a lot of people to use a town beach. I think if the town beaches we have surveyed come nowhere near that number of population. And I would reemphasize what Michelle said, that oftentimes people talk about how unfriendly we are to non-residents. And that 40% represents over 80,000 non-residents that use our town beach each year. That does not include any non-residents who bring children under 12 onto the beach. Those numbers aren't even in there. And we actually have a dedicated parking lot across the street for non-residents. And we also allow non-residents to come into the resident parking lots when conditions allow. So I'm hoping everyone who hears those comments can use this data to demonstrate that we really are welcoming. I defy anyone to find another town beach, probably in all in the coastal of New England, that have 80,000 of the non-town residents. And we do welcome them. And it's terrific having that mix of population there. And they must like it because it's fairly expensive to go to our beach if you are a non-resident. So I think it's a balance that's working, and I think you've adjusted, and Michelle has adjusted the right balance between resident and non-resident. So those are comments that I would like you to just think about as you come into the 2025 budget. I think not too far down the road will be probably major work for the south parking lot that's under enormous pressure from sea level rise, and our 30-plus-year-old south pavilion that you'll need to look at to see if what type of major renovation might be required so that we can continue to have that gem. So thank you for your time on this, and certainly love to have questions or comments from the council.
Thank you. Thank you both. Councilor Kopek?
I just want a couple of questions. The fund balance, the 5.1, almost $5.2 million is actually the fund balance as of 2023 audited. There is 2024 dollars that are going to be added into this, which could make it even higher, I would imagine, looking at some of the revenues that were taken. So I just wanted to make that point so people understand that we're looking at 2023, not 2024. Even though the season is ended, the audit usually doesn't happen until January, so that was one thing. I also wanted to say, to congratulate you on creating that policy for the Beach Enterprise Fund. I like to think I had a little something to do with that, actually. And I thought the one thing, Dennis, you said the Finance Committee, I thought it was the Finance Department that did the research. So, okay. So at any rate, I think that worked out really, really well. And, you know, for the Beach Enterprise Fund, and you're right, for the sewer and water enterprise funds too, I think that puts us in a much better position to know what we need to do and how to make those things happen going forward. So, and it's been a pleasure to to listen to these for 4 years. I did like that document that you waved to us when the one time we did see it. I was like, I'm like you. I like to see those things. They're always very interesting. So, thank you very much.
Thank you. Councilor Ferrandi?
Thank you, Eva. Well, thanks very much for the board and all the hard work that you've done. You know, we were all in this together. We all went through the workshops. The council, there were some difficult decisions. Things hadn't been raised in a long time. We have these low, medium, high kind of projects, so we've never attacked that before due to the good nature of and the good work of, you know, the committees and the council taking that in and listening to to most of that. So I think it's a good framework, and actually the beach, the capacity study and all that does have a lot of interrelated issues that can be used. Like I would say, maybe it could be our Bible for the next 10 years or however it's useful for. So I think you did a fantastic job. You know, the council did rehash things where some of the issues were, no one wants to raise prices, but it hadn't been raised in such a long time. You know, we had a decent year. It may change, you know, in other years, but I think overall it was a lot of hard work put into this, and now it's a good framework that maybe we can build on for the future. So thanks to all the council people, too, that participated.
Thank you. Councilor Lawler?
So being the rec board person that on the town council, I did have a sneak peek on this last week. So I really don't have any questions. The one point that Michelle made that I think was really strongly heard at rec board, we need to have a scientific path for the dune building. That is really important, and certainly we're going to have enough money in the enterprise fund to cover that, and that's a vital thing. But the one thing that I would like to ask either one of you, if you could please ask the rec board members to stand and introduce them, because they do an awful lot of work. There's been subcommittee work done, and I really want to just thank them and encourage other people watching at home to apply for our boards and commissions. They're important. Thank you, everyone, for your help.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, everyone, for your service on the boards. So just a question. So there was that reference to accounting error. I was just curious about that. I know when we were discussing the fee structures and fees and all that, and then we were concerned about that $99,000 in revenue before, and we had decided as a council. I remember Councilor Kopech and I were both looking for another data point. Would that have changed, or is that just more of an accounting error in terms of just the fund balance versus? I guess I'm just looking for clarification on that.
Right. No, it wouldn't have affected the fund balance. Well, no, it would have, but not in regards to the revenue that the beach generated. Unfortunately, there was an error in taxation where there was a certain piece of property that was being billed to under the beach enterprise fund. The error was corrected, and now whatever department is picking up that bill, it's no longer the beach enterprise fund. So, and that came through an audit. There was a question, this looks different. This property is not really near 39 Boston Neck Road. So again, just an issue that happened internally with like a wrong, not GL code, but something, it was just not being billed correctly. So that has been resolved. But the $99,000 in revenue that the beach only made that 1 year, that would have been exactly the same.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, so those numbers didn't change.
No, ma'am.
Okay. I just needed that clarification, but thank you very much for that. Yeah, and I also agree with everyone, the Beach Enterprise Fund, and knowing those ranges and actually having something to strive for and a goal is a great thing, especially with all the other enterprise funds. So thank you, everyone, for that hard work on that and getting that to become a reality. So other than that, just want to thank everyone again. Does anyone else have any questions? Mr. Tierney, any additional? No. I think we're good.
I would like to reiterate what everyone said in here today. I'd like to thank both Michelle and her staff at Parks and Recs for the job they do all over with Parks and Recs. But again, the beach is at the front page for everyone all over the state and elsewhere, so it really stands out. And members of the Rec Advisory Board who volunteer their time, it's a fresh set of eyes, and we all need that no matter what we do. And we appreciate your input and your time, because I know you guys have some lengthy meetings, and you come up with some great ideas, and it's appreciated. And I'd like to take time to thank the council, too, for supporting the efforts of Parks and Recs and all the other departments that work closely together with them, with DPW, police for security services, and the relationship they have with the state, with CRMC and DEM. And that's about it. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so this really was just, reviewing the beach operation. So we're not going to be discussing any changes to fees. That's going to be at a later date. So I think we just have that information to review, and it'll be up to the next council. So this is probably our last meeting as a council. So again, thank you. And I think at this point we can just adjourn.